Okay, so today we were going to make a little Halloween video. It's a little Halloween inspired tutorial.
I'm just gonna caution you that what you're about to see might startle you.
So if you're fainting hard or anything, you know, maybe if you have kids in the room, be careful. Take warning. Okay. You guys ready for this? Oh, it's adorable. Never mind. It's fine. It's cute. Ah, look at him. This is what we're going to be making today. It's really cute, just soft. This just looks soft and squishy. And it's loopable, so we can set it to repeat, and we'll loop perfectly, so we can just loop it forever. If you know how to do like animated backgrounds and stuff like that, this is like a really fun one for Halloween for the season. So yeah, we're gonna learn how to model this bad boy, light it, texture it. So let's go ahead. We've opened up our scene here, and we'll take a look at what we've got going on. You can see we've got some deformers and stuff going on, but it's a very simple scene. We pretty much have the same setup as that infinite floor light tutorial. We've got a big overhead light for our backdrop here, and then a couple lights, just an overhead one for our ghost, and then a couple lights to just light our subject here. And then we've got some other lights to create these twinkles in his eye, that little glint, because that's really what sells it. It's that little glint that makes it the little ooh-woo cute, right? So let's go ahead and just figure out how to create this and go ahead and do that. And then for our background texture, let's go ahead and cover that real quick. We just have a Redshift material on here. It could be center material, whatever you want to do. It's basically just diffuse roughness set to a little light pink, orangish, kind of peachish color. You can do whatever color you want and just throw that weight all the way up and the roughness diffuse all the way up, and then take your reflection all the way down. And that's how you get that really nice kind of soft look, really. And so your floor is not going to have any reflections or anything, and you're going to be able to create that nice infinite look. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about creating this ghost. So we just have our psych, and just to mention before we get started, if you want to have this completed scene render ready, it's available on Gumroad. If you want to have the scene without lights or textures or anything, that is available as a free download as well, just because it's such a nice Halloween little scene that I like to give that away for sure. So, you know, be sure to do that. Real quick, before we get started, big shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys so much. If you want to support the channel, this is a really great way to help do that, and you also get some perks and stuff as well, just like they have there. The first members exclusive tutorial is available, where I show how to create this island. Really cool. So it's been it means a lot from you guys to get that support and stuff, so thank you very much. Also be sure to check out my Skillshare stuff. There's a link to get a free trial down below, as well as all my stuff, my classes for sale on both DerekKirk.net and CG Shortcuts. So be sure to check that out to learn more about Redshift and Cinema 4D in general. More stuff on the way. Big news coming about a big workshop that's coming. Okay, let's get into making this ghost. So we're going to start off with creating a capsule. We've got our capsule here. We're just going to pull that up, hit E to move tool, activate that. And for our capsule, we're just going to change our settings here. We're going to go with a 40 for the radius and a height of 140. So we have a decent amount of segments here, which is not bad, because we're going to want to bend that modifier. So if it came in here and it looked like this, when we put that bend on it, this middle section isn't going to bend because there's no topology there for it to bend. So a default of 4 is actually going to be fine for our bend, because that's going to give us that ghosty look. And the rotation segments of 16 is actually fine for what we want to do as well. And we're going to show you how to remodel those little ghosty, the bottom bits down there, just ghosty bits. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So now we've got this set up how we want it. We're going to go ahead and hit C to make it editable. And then what we want to do is we want to go into the vertex mode here. So the point selection mode. Okay, so we've got that selected here, and we've got our move tool selected. And over here, you'll see in the move tool, there's an option called soft selection. Instead of that, we want to make sure we enable that. So now if we come in here and look at this, and we come down here to sort of the bottom, if we click the bottom down here, you see it creates this sort of yellow area here, and that's based on this radius. So if the radius is larger, it's going to select a larger area, and it's going to move all of it, right? Everything in that yellow area is going to be affected. So if we do a smaller value, it's going to affect it. Sort of this soft, it's going to basically create a fall off across that. So really, really nice way to model some shapes and stuff with just moving one vertex. And set it to 40 for the initial point here, and we're going to pull this up, and we just want to kind of pull it up so it's up inside of itself a little bit here. Okay, and so now what we want to do is we want to change this down to 25, and we're just going to click on a couple points, kind of spaced out a bit. We want to have a little gray space here in between, and we're just going to click a few points, maybe 3 or 4 points, just around our ghost here. And we just want to pull these down like this to kind of give them this little ghostly legs, his ghosty bits. So now when we have those like this, we can go back to the model view. And obviously this doesn't look very good, but what we can do is hold Alt and click Subdivision Surface. And now you see we kind of have this nice, soft, ghosty bits here, which is pretty nice. And we can come in here and up the Subdivision Surface later if we want. But we've kind of got this nice soft shape, and so we're ready to start applying our modifiers and stuff. So what we can do is inside of our capsule here with our capsule selected, we want to add this bend modifier. So we're going to go ahead and hit Shift and click. And what we want to do first is say fit to parent, and that's going to align that to our object here. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure we set it to the Y negative. And after doing that, you want to make sure to hit fit to parent again. It just reorients that for you. Okay, so now we want to change this setting from limited to within box because we just want to limit and bend it within our box that we have here. So if we take our strength here, we say negative like 30, you'll see how we're bending that ghost back here. So he looks like he's kind of floating. You can see how if we animated that, you know, he could be like he's doing a little dance, whatever. So yeah, a little negative 30 here. And then for the angle, we're totally fine how we do this. So, but the problem is if we had a face on this ghost, we're bending it all the way from the very top of our object all the way down. And we really don't want to do that. We want to bend it from sort of below his face. And we just want to pull these down like this to kind of give him this little ghostly legs, his ghosty bits. So now when we have those like this, we can go back to the model view. And obviously this doesn't look very good, but what we can do is hold Alt and click Subdivision Surface. And now you see we kind of have this nice, soft, ghosty bits here, which is pretty nice. And we can come in here and up the Subdivision Surface later if we want. But we've kind of got this nice, soft shape. And so we're ready to start applying our modifiers and stuff. So what we can do is inside of our capsule here with our capsule selected, we want to add this bend modifier. So we're going to go ahead and hit Shift and click. And what we want to do first is say fit to parent, and that's going to align that to our object here. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure we set it to the Y negative. And after doing that, you want to make sure to hit fit to parent again. It just reorients that for you. Okay, so now we want to change this setting from limited to within box because we just want to limit and bend it within our box that we have here. So if we take our strength here, we say negative like 30, you'll see how we're bending that ghost back here. So he looks like he's kind of floating. You can see how if we animated that, you know, he could be like he's doing a little dance, whatever. So yeah, a little negative 30 here. And then for the angle, we're totally fine how we do this. So, but the problem is if we had a face on this ghost, we're bending it all the way from the very top of our object all the way down. And we really don't want to do that. We want to bend it from sort of below his face. So if you had like an eye and a mouth and stuff here in this object, it would be bending that back. And we really want to be able to put our face on our object without worrying about the ghost bending away from our face. So we don't want to deal with that issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually shrink this cube down and then pull it down. So we still have kind of the length of our bend in this space, but we still have, see how this part's not being affected by that bend now. So we're just bending his bottom, which is exactly what we want. We're going to animate this. We're going to go to frame 0. By the way, the scene setup for this, if we hit Control D, we're in 24 frames per second, and we have a timeline of 240, just so you know. So now when we get to animating this, you'll be on the same page as me. We haven't done any animation yet, so if you enter it in at this point, it's totally fine. So what we want to do is go to this bend, click this little keyframe icon here, and make sure we set the strength to negative 30. And since we changed it, what we want to do is we want to click that. See how it turned yellow and now it's red? Red means it's recorded. Yellow means it has no, what the value that is there has no keyframe. So let's go ahead and move to 120, which is halfway through our animation. And we're going to set that to -15. And then we're going to go and just click and drag down here in our timeline. That's how you select down here. It's really tricky. And you can hold Control, see how that's turned yellow? Control, click and drag, and just move that up to 240. So now we've taken that keyframe there. And so what we've created is basically a subtle animation between 0 to 120, and it'll go back to 0. But it's slow, but it still kind of ramps up and ramps down because easy ease is the default, and we don't want that. So what we want to do is, with our bend selected over there, we want to make sure that we go to our window and go to F-curve. And you can see, if we make this window bigger, this is the clunkiest window of all C4D. Hit H to frame that up, and you can see we've got this going on here. So it starts off slow, speeds up, then slows back down. And we want it to be a little smoother. So what we want to do is we want to select this one and just pull it out a little bit like this. And once again, for this one, we want to pull it back a little bit like that. And this a little bit like that. And so what this will do is it'll kind of make it more subtle and then more dramatic in the middle, which is going to give us kind of a nicer result here. It's a little subtle in the beginning. And you're like, woo. Ooh, and then it's subtle again, and then it's dramatic again, right? So you kind of have that move, and when you combine that with the displacement, you're going to get a nice kind of look like he's like, and you can adjust this to do whatever you want. So if you wanted to, change the angle of this, you would just do that, rotate this, and you can make him, off to the side, to the front, whatever. So if you wanted to have him move around and turn or whatever, that's an easy way to control that. Okay. So we've got that going. Let's go ahead and create kind of that ghosty figure, right, where it kind of tapers out. So what we want to use is the modifier taper. So we're going to go ahead and have our capsule selected, click and hold, and shift click and let go taper. And so we're going to go ahead and say fit to parent. And again, we want to set it to -y, fit to parent, and that's going to put the taper effect down here at the bottom, which is where we want it. So now we can say, but you can see that it's kind of freaking out a little bit. And that's because when we're doing this, it's messing up our bend. So what we want to do is we want to grab this taper and put it below the bend. And now we're going to taper it with that bend effect smoothly, okay? This to somewhere around -40, just about like that. And then 250 for the curve. That way we kind of like pinch his head back in. And that way we, have like this head shape how we want. And we have the bottom sticking out like that. Real quick, want to shout out to the Discord. Be sure to join the Discord if you want to join a free community of just great artists and stuff. And today we've done, I just want to showcase some of the stuff from our weekly design prompt. This week's design prompt was glass. This next week and this week that the video is dropping is candy. So be sure to just have fun and just make something fun and creative. Just wanted to showcase some of these. You guys are amazing. Thank you all so much for participating. Love to see what you guys make. You guys are amazingly talented. Thank you. All right, back to the video. Okay, now we're not going to animate our taper. That's just there to create that ghosty look. And so what we want to do to create his little ghosty bits to do this kind of wibbly wobbly thing, what we want to do is we want to add a displacer. So we're going to go ahead and hold shift and add a displacer to this. It's going to put it underneath our taper because we had it selected. Make sure you put this at the bottom of your capsule here. We're going to go to shading. We're going to go to noise underneath the shading tab here and open that up. And we're going to take a look at this. And what we're going to do is we're going to just up the global scale to somewhere around 286. We just want to make it bigger. And then we want to, the main thing we want to do is we want to set the animation speed to 1 and the loop period to 10. So this is going to create this distortion, this wibbly wobbly look, but it's going to actually loop seamlessly for us. So that's a beautiful thing that the noise shader can do inside of C4D. But you notice we have our entire ghost being displaced, and we don't want that. We just want his little bits down there to be displaced. I got to come up with a better name for those. So basically what we want to do is inside of our displacer here, if you click this, we have the fields option here. So we're going to go into our fields and just add a box field. And so what's going to happen is that's going to place all the displacement inside of that box. So if we take this box and we just pull it down here, and so we have this dark brown area and this light golden area, and the way this works is this golden area is the fall off. So it's going to be applied in there. And this darker area is like the actual, size of the box here. And what we can do is go to our remapping and just take this inset and pull it up a bit so there's less fall off. And then we can take our entire shape and pull that down. And so now we have just his bottom ghosty bits being affected. His face, again, not affected. But you can see how that's just created this really nice organic floaty look. And we can pull that back a bit. And now we have this really nice, just subtle floaty look, like he's kind of blowing in the wind and moving. And we didn't have to, do any real animating or anything like that. And it's going to loop just fine for us. Pretty cool. It's just inside of the animation window. So what I did is I, copied the first frame and pasted it at the end. But let's say we wanted this to be, every 48 seconds. Oops. Let's say we wanted every 48 seconds to do this kind of subtle ghosty motion here, right? But we didn't want to copy and paste and then copy and paste and do the math to figure that out. So what we want to do is we just want to select both of these and we can go to functions, track after, and then oscillate after. And that's just going to make that just go ahead and loop and repeat for us. So if you ever want to figure out how to do a really nice, easy, subtle animation and loop that very easily for you without copying and pasting and doing the math to figure out where it should go, just say functions oscillate with those selected. And now we're going to have this nice oscillating bend that's going to loop and time out. Oh, it's only going to loop and time out if it's divisible by 240, which 48 is not, but that would be the ideal. So if we took this and just moved it to 120 again, we're going to still have that nice subtle loop. And you can see how that's adjusted for us. Let's take a look at this real quick. But he just looks like a big kind of ghosty marshmallow. For his material, what we want to do is we have that material we made for the background. We're just going to click and hold that and make a copy of it. And we're going to set that to almost white. And we're going to take his reflection and put it up a little bit to like 0.5 and then take his roughness all the way up as well. And we're going to throw that on our ghost here. Okay, so now it's time to create his face. So let's go ahead and create his eyes. So what we want to do is create a sphere. We're going to type in that radius of 8.1, which is what I used. 8 is fine. We're going to make the segments 64, so it's a little smoother. And then we're going to use the place tool over here. And with our sphere selected, we're just going to click and hold. And we can just plop that right there on his face. Super easy, so we don't have to go up and back and up and around. Just use that place tool. Super easy way to position that way we want it. Now we do need to push it back into his face a little bit here. And we don't want him to be so derpy, so let's pull his eyes in a little bit, and then hold Control, click and drag, and just slide that over. Yeah, you don't want to be super derpy, but you can if you want. You can make one bigger than the other. Make it have fun with it. Happy little accents. Yeah, so you just want to basically have these kind of aligned a little bit similar to each other, but it doesn't really matter if they're rotated or anything because they're just going to be perfectly shiny black. And so what we're going to do is add a material here. So we're going to go to Redshift, create Redshift material. We can do standard material. It's now at the top. If you haven't noticed since the latest update, it used to be down here. It moved it up to the top. Okay, so now it's at the top. We can just go ahead and select black for this. And 1.8 for the reflection. Totally fine. Go over this. Okay. Okay, so there's his eyes, and then we want to make his cheeks. So let's go ahead and we'll call these eye left. That's actually his right eye, I guess. His right. And then eye left. His left eye. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just click and drag and pull this down. And this is going to be his cheek. So we're going to say left cheek. What we're going to do is we're going to hit C and make it editable. And hit T, and we're just going to squish it in the X dimension here. So that's just going to make it a thin pancake like that. So we don't want it to be totally flat, but we want it to be kind of thin. And then small, we're going to hold outside. We're going to pull that back up. So it's a little bit like that. It's a little squished little pancake here. Now we're just going to take that, and again, I'm just going to grab this little corner here and slide it over. And we're going to position that. Put his eyeball. It's weird to have it like this point here, so it looks like he's looking that way. But here's his little cheeks. We can make them a little smaller. Yep, and we'll just push those back. And we're gonna rotate those just a little bit. And hold Control and make a copy of that. And then rotate that on the opposite side. So there we go. Now he has little cheeks that are just gonna be floating out right in front of his face. I will rotate them to match the curve of his body a little bit more. And then we'll probably pull them back just a bit. Control click both of those, shift click both of those, and pull them back until they're just outside. Yep. And we'll pull this one up. There we go. There we go. Nice little cheekies. Cute. So now we need his mouth. So this is actually right cheek. And so for his mouth, we're going to do a cylinder. And we go ahead and go to the cap and fillet that. And for the cylinder, what we're going to do is we're going to turn the radius to 1. It's going to be real small. And the height is just going to be 10. Okay, and then for the segments, we'll do 20 and 64. And we'll go ahead and grab that place tool and bring that up to his face here. Obviously, we want to rotate this around, hold shift and rotate. And that way we have this little face. And the reason we put so many height segments in there is because we're going to bend this a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hold shift and click bend while we have that cylinder selected. And Y plus is good this time. And we just want to go ahead and just set this strength up to whatever we want. Look, he's sad. Nice, happy. Okay, so we can do like negative 140. And obviously we just want to rotate this around. Grab the cylinder, not the bend. Rotate it around, and now we have a nice happy ghost. And we can, make it a little longer. And then when we do that, we need to make sure we hit fit to parent for this. Oh my god. Is that even better? No, he's like scary now. No, he's stupid looking now. Tiny little face. Let's go back. Go back to 10. Make sure we have our bend fit to parent. And now we can move it around. And we bring it up right above his little cheeks. So he's got, I know like anatomically it wouldn't make sense, but it looks cute when you do that. There we go. And we can just push that back. There we go. Okay. So let's take a look at our ghost real quick. You can see he's already a little cuter as it is. Perfect. Excellent. We're going to pull this one back just a bit and rotate it just a bit more. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and make these materials really quick. He's looking cute. We can rotate this just a little bit just to make sure it's kind of following his face just a little bit more. There we go. Cool. And we'll do the same with this one. There we go. That looked good. Cool. So now we just need to create these materials. So to do that, we'll save real quick. And we're just going to go ahead and take our ghost material, copy and paste that. Then with this selected, we're going to go down here and choose kind of a blush pink. So we're just going to do kind of a blush pink like that. And we'll throw that on there. And we can make that a little more saturated. And then inside of here, we're also going to bring down our roughness to like 0.7 and bring down our roughness value in our diffuse all the way down to 0, just to kind of give those cheeks a little more lighter color. And then for the eyes, once again, copy paste. And for this, we're going to go with black. And roughness is 0. Roughness down here all the way to like 0.15. Because we want to be able to see these reflections in his eyes. So we're going to go ahead and grab that black material, throw it on the eyes, and then we'll copy that and crank that roughness back up to 1 and throw that on the mouth. Okay. So now I'm going to take a look at him. He's instantly cute. Look at him. Awesome. So these eyes look pretty good. We're getting these reflections, but the thing is, it's very dependent on the actual lights in your scene. And we want to kind of have these nice kind of ooh-woo lights going on. So what we're going to do is we want to control these separately. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our lights that we have in our scene, all of these lights. We go to the project file, we're going to go to exclude, and we're going to click his eyes, his little dropper. So now he has black like a doll's eyes. Yeah, jaws, eyes. He's got no life to him at all, right? This looks awful. So we've just taken those lights that we have and made them not work in his eyes. So what we're going to do is we're going to add lights that only work in his eyes to light him. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an area light. We're going to go ahead and hit a target, and we're going to take that place tool again with that target and just click and drag right here to the middle of his face. Perfect. So now our target is where we want it. So we're going to right click, animation, target. This is on our area light. Click and drag that null in there to make that the target. So now, as long as we move our light around, you see how it orients to our ghost. So it makes moving lights around way easier. So first thing I want to do is go to the object tab of our light, go down to the the shape, and change that to a disk. This is going to give us those nice round reflections. We're going to pull that up and out and over here to the left. And we're going to take a look at what this is looking like. And we want to have our render view up so that we can see how this is working. So you can see we've got this little light dot in his eyes. And what we can do is go in here and increase the size of this. We can just hit T on this. And we can either do two things. We can bring it in, which will make it bigger. Okay. And we can hit T and scale it, which will make it bigger. Oh, too big? It's cute though. But the reason we want to have it further out is see how it's like kind of in the center of this eye and then really in the left of this eye. But if we pull it out, those two start to line up about the same and be similar to the same spot. So what we're going to do is hit T and really scale this up big. There we go. And we want to pull this over here. There we go. So now it's a little less centered on this. So you can see it's blowing out our scene completely. So what I'm going to do is go in here to our light, go to project, go to include, and now we just pick our eyes. And there we go. And now we've gotten rid of that floor reflection and everything. And we literally only have those dots to worry about. So we can come in here and move it around a little more and pull that in. There we go. Or pull it out and make it even bigger. Right. So that's what you want. We can go way out here and we're literally just controlling these reflections in his eyes at this point. Nothing else in our scene is being affected whatsoever. So it's perfect. So I'm going to pull this over and up. I'm going to put the big dot up here. Perfect. We're going to make a copy of this so we have those settings where it's only affecting our eyes. And we're going to scale this one down. And we're going to bring it in and we're going to move it down low. And we're going to move it way over here to the right side of our ghost as well. And down again, we can even go below our plane. It's not going to matter. It's not going to be cut off or anything. There we go. So now he has these cute little ooh eyes. We can shrink that down and pull it down. And then off to the left a little bit more. There we go. So now we have these perfect little anime watery eyes in our ghost, and the rest of our scene is lit by our thing. So there we go. It's looking pretty good. So now the last thing we want to do, we can come in here and we can grab these lights and we can turn them down because they might be a little intense, even though they're not really affecting anything else. We're getting that glow from them. So we just want them to be white, but we don't need them to be like super intense like they were. So 50 is fine. Okay. So now that we have our ghost built, we've got him lit, everything, what we're going to do is we've got his face here, we've got his body here. We're going to select all of these things together, right click and go to a group. I'm just going to call that ghost. So now we have our ghost completely, and we can go ahead and we can animate him as a full ghost, like his face and everything will come with him. And his deformers and things are all locked into place. So we can move him floating around if you wanted or whatever. But what we're going to do is we're going to animate him floating up and down ever so slightly. So position. Let's bring our ghost down so it's like just a little above the floor here. And what we want to do is we want to keyframe him just kind of floating up and down just a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to frame 0, keyframe this Y, and we're going to go to frame 60 because that's divisible by 240. Pull it up just a little bit, and then make sure we hit our keyframe there. Now go into our window, F curve, and ghost, hit H to frame everything together. Click and hold to select it all. Go to functions, track after, oscillate after. And we're just going to pull these back a little bit to make that a little smoother. And so now we hit play. See, we get this nice floaty ghost with wiggly ghosty bits. And we can, rotate them a little bit if we want to. So it's a little off to the side. Perfect. There you go. Then we can take a look at it, and his eyes should still have those nice ooh lights going on. Yes. Sweet little ghost. Amazing. So yeah. Lastly, one of the easiest thing we can do is add a Redshift camera, which you go to here, click and hold, and choose standard camera. Go into our camera view. I often like to use the 50mm camera, so go to the object tag and choose that. And then framing things up in Cinema 4D can always be a little pain in the butt, like if I want to put it in the center or off to the left. So one thing you can really do that's really helpful is go into this composition tab, turn on grid, and turn on crosshair. And this is going to bring up this 3x4 grid, and you can actually change it and do even more grid and stuff like that if you want. But 3x4 is good. You can change the color of it, make it black, make it white, whatever. Makes it easier for you to see. So that way you have your crosshair. You can make sure your ghost is right in the center, or if you wanted to put your ghost sort of in the rule of thirds over here, you could. But there you go. That we could center our ghost up very nicely for us right there. So there you go. You've got your ghost, your camera, and then you could add in some more stuff in your scene like we did here. And these are just some objects that we've added in here. And we could come in here and add some depth of field in our camera if we wanted to. Bokeh, enable, focus distance. And then we'll go to our Redshift render view, hit render. You see our ghost looks a little different. Looks like we can squish his eyes in a little bit more, might get a cuter result. But let's go to the focus tab, click our ghost, and we can increase our bokeh up to like 3 or something if we wanted to. And that gives us a little more depth of field, which is kind of cute. But yeah, let's go back to our ghost, take his eyes, and just slide him in a little bit here. That's pretty good. Yep, put your own spin on him. Little eyes, one little eye, crazy ghost. I kind of like one big eye. Yeah, so there you go. We can move his cheeks around if we need to pull those in. I like that. I like where they were. Yeah. But there you go. Play around with that, get different looks and stuff. You can give them, eyebrows and stuff, the same kind of feature as the mouth. I don't know if you would want to do that, but maybe it could be an alarmed ghost. It's like, oh my gosh, what? He's lost his mouth. Awesome. Okay, cool. So there you go. If you want to download this scene, I'll give you this one. Just because I like the way his little face turned out. I think I bent his mouth a little too much in this one. I do like that one too, though. But yeah, I'll give you this scene with the ghost. But you can see how just easy it is to create this nice little looping effect. Be sure to check out the links below for the Gumroad download link to this, as well as the free project version of this as well. So you get your little ghost and your tombstones and everything. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, big thanks to my patrons and all you guys to leave a like and subscribe and ring the bell for more videos. It helps a lot. I really appreciate it. And let me know if you like this kind of stuff, because I really had a good time making this tutorial. I love this style, so I want to do more of these. So here you go. Enjoy. Happy Halloween. See you guys next time.